I just couldn't stay silent on this one. Welcome to the Silent Vibes podcast with me, Michaela. I'll be giving you the inside scoop on music, fashion, culture, and more from Caribbean celebrities and tastemakers across the globe, pushing our culture with authenticity and, of course, style and vibes. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Michaela with another episode of the Silent Vibes podcast. Today, I am back with a special treat. So sometimes I am able and blessed to have these off-the-cuff conversations with people, and I enjoy them wholeheartedly. As I was interviewing Tifa, and we were talking about her song Mana Come Back on the Silent Project, one of the producers, Rellee, was there, and we had an off-the-cuff conversation that we ended up recording. It was so interesting just speaking with him. I had no idea about his background and his extensive history in music, and of course we were vibing to all things music, and I thought it was really cool. So I asked if we could record it almost like as a bonus interview. I'm only sorry that Paul from Platinum Kids was not there. I'm sure if he was there, he would have some insight as well, especially coming from the New York scene and being a bit of a younger generation. And then Rellee kind of has some extensive background with some of your favorite artists who you probably didn't even know that he worked on it. Or maybe you have if you're a music aficionado. But we had an amazing conversation. I really don't want to give too much away. It's very, very insightful, gives you a really good understanding, and even I learned something new, and I'm always humbled, and I really enjoy having conversations where I can learn something, and I think you guys will too. So listen to my interview with Rellee, and Tifa is also on there. We were actually kind of just ad-libbing, having a convo. So if you kind of hear her go in and out, that is why, but it's too interesting to keep all to myself. So without further ado, here's the bonus episode with Rellee and Tifa talking about the Silent Project and so much more. All right, so we have to do a quick little thing about the single. What the name? Mana Come Back. Man, I for come back. That's what I keep thinking. All right, so Mana Come Back is off the Silent Riddim Project. So we're not calling it a rhythm. Is there a reason for that? Wait, first you got to introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Rellee A Team. A Team Music. Part producer, Paul Platinum's production partner on this particular project. This is my first rhythm in 10 years. Like, I haven't put out any kind of juggling. I've been doing a lot of work. More on the West Coast, more with bands, more with reggae artists. So this is the first dance hall project I've done in 10 years.
Okay, so give the people them a feel of some of the projects that you've worked on previously.
In what genre?
Your boss, you know, all of them.
Well, it'll be a life story, but I started out at 15 as a professional producer.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, I started out as 15 as a producer. I come from under Kedar and Daddy-O. Daddy-O being one of the most influential hip-hop producers back in the day, and I started at 15, and from Mary J. Blige, the Real Love remix with Biggie, D'Angelo, Kedar started Neo Soul, Erykah Badu, I started with that, then jumped off, and then I started a company with a few friends, and we did a lot of 50 records, Fantasia. It's like so much records throughout the years that I've done. And then in 2002, I started A Team, and during that year, I met Vegas to a good friend of mine, Earlton Clark, and then I started, working with my culture. I love my culture. And I still dibble back and forth, and then...
I mean, you can, because, Jamaica started the thing, so it's like...
Exactly. And, through the years, and then a good friend of mine, Chin, from Irish and Chin, introduced me to a lot of reggae artists during the time of Vegas, working in Vegas. And I started working with Morgan Heritage, and me and Graham started a partnership with Jamari Morgan, his son, produced Jamari, and VP with Egyptian, Itana, Better Tomorrow album, but list it's just like so much work. I went on the West Coast for a while, and for the last, say, 8 years, I've been doing stuff with a lot of bands. Common Kings, The Green, Gramps basically said West Coast for me.
That West Coast reggae scene is real interesting. I just saw a flyer that came out, and it had, I can't remember the name of the festival. Like, festival life there is just different. And it really is because of the weather and the ability to kind of have those festivals. And I saw Steel Pulse, I saw Sister Nancy, I saw Oris Andy way down at the bottom. So I was a little taken aback because I'm like, these are like legends. And on the West Coast, they're just not as popular. So it was just a thought.
They're not popular. They're idolized. Yes, they're idolized. But the bands. All right, I'm going to get raw right now. Yes. Music business, when dancehall and hip-hop and everything was selling and things, we're in a transition period now with, streaming and this and that. But I've been blessed to come to 3 different transitions. But when music was selling, I'll be honest, when shows was keeping, drugs were selling. Cocaine was running, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, was running the place. And there were more shows, there were more things. Now, it all reverts back to that. The West Coast have the growers. Most of the growers, they can't put their money in the bank.
Backside. Yeah, give me a reasoning to that.
That means the growers own dispensaries, them can't bank the money. So in essence, they find bands or they produce music. So there's real good money when you go on the West Coast and produce. It's just the Jamaican mentality that we have. We have certain Jamaican producers went out there and tried to make it, but you see that road boy, these people are very easygoing people. It's real cool. All them do is smoke weed and make music. So you have to know you have to know how to balance everything out. But that's where everybody see this big push, because I see people always talking about how all these bands are dominating the charts and this and that. They have the financial backing, most of them, because it's through the legal marijuana trade.
Wow. I need to let that marinate with myself. But let's get to the Silent Project and how you actually worked with the team here to cut. My mind is blown, but in a good way. So how did the Silent Project come about? And this lovely lady next to me, how did she end up in the lineup of, choosing artists and things like that?
All right, so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it from the beginning with Silent. Silent was actually, the ideal was, we are between Paul and myself, our chefs. We love to cook, and Paul is a very good friend. And we was over his house, and he was making some pork and chicken and things from the grill, and we did a reason. And there was an artist that we were going to work with and do something. I didn't know what to do for the artist, and something in my head clicked, and I said, like, Paul, some want to do something, yin yang things, whisper someone, bring back the vibe. And I had the sounds in my drum machine already. And Paul said, that's a good idea. And we started, this is like 3 years ago. And we built it. Didn't work out with that artist. Things just didn't work out business-wise with that artist. And it was just sitting there. It took me about 6 months to actually make the track. I was just lazy. And made it. And we started recording. I think Dario was in town. I recorded Dario. And Dario's going on an Australian tour. I'm going to put it out. I wasn't into the rhythm thing, but get push. Send it to Tifa. Send it to a couple of friends. And Tifa, I've known Tifa now, years from Tifa was 16, because her stepdad is another influencer that pushed me, Sampalu, to produce Caribbean acts or in my culture. And I've never worked with Tifa. And we've been friends for years. I always push her, like, I'll do this, do that. You're doing good. Because I never knew how to produce Tifa. And I sent it to her, and she found the song. And the other artists, Tallest is, of course, our product, Platinum Kids product. And the other artists were just mostly younger artists, you understand? Spragga, I just finished, Spragga gonna kill me. It's 5 years now. We finished the album Once Upon a Time. It took us 7 years to work on it. It's an old school throwback album, sample based. And Spragga, just naturally, I called him and came to the studio and recorded, And Spragga's song, Topical, is something that some ladies are going to be like, yeah, and some ladies are going to be like, where this brother come from, you know.
So in terms of your song, Tifa, when you got the track, how did you feel about it, and how did you kind of meditate on the creativity and how you wanted to approach it? I know we kind of talked about it, but I would say, what were your initial thoughts?
I liked it. If I never liked it, I wouldn't have voiced on it, because then it would have been hard to write to it. So I liked it, and it brought me back to my teenage years. You know what I mean? Like when you're carefree and young, and as I said, I literally kind of basically, it feel 90s for it and kind of basically freestyle it.
Yeah.
It just flowed. It just worked. Funnily enough, this song was recorded last year.
But I think that's old. Good that I think a lot of people don't understand how long a particular project takes. Like, you can put down a beat, or you can create the music and just let it sit and marinate. I think in this generation of like, we just have a beat machine and just make it and put it out there, whether it's half baked or not. I think that to me is a key point that sounded like you said 3 years. Like you had the idea and you let it marinate that long before.
It's a process. Yeah, it's a process. Yeah.
I recorded my song last year. Yeah. You have some rhythm where, okay, we're going to spice up the rhythm, and then next week it out. You know what I mean? But I'm happy we took the time. Yeah. Because, you know, we created something magical.
The next project that's coming out was recorded actually 10 years ago. That actually features Shaggy, Patra. That's coming out, I believe, April or May. I'm not sure yet what we're going to do with that, because this project is new and I don't want to jump and just be putting out projects. But I believe in a process. I come from the old school. I believe in a good record engineer. I believe, he recorded at Big Yard, our engineer, Kamal engineered and produced our vocals. I don't normally do that. I produce all my vocals. But trusted engineer, and Tifa know what she's doing in the studio. So, you know. I believe in process. Record engineer, mixer. Commissioner Garden actually mixed this project. Commissioner Garden is Miseducation Lauryn Hill, and mixes most of the Marley stuff. Call Commish. Commish grew up in the industry together. Commish said, "Got you," and me and Paul actually worked with him on the mixing to get the sound we wanted. And I think I believe in our process. I just don't do everything myself, even though I'm capable of doing everything myself. I believe in a process, because you become biased to your sound. So when I send something to Commish, or I send something to Ken Lewis to mix, or Shasheen Brown in Jamaica to mix, or to Bulby, they know my sound, and they have an idea of where to go with it after where I put it. You understand? Technology is good and technology is bad, because now everybody has access and they can do it, which is a great thing. But in a sense, the sound and the sonics of the music is not where it used to be. So that's why a lot of people, like, I've been getting calls and comments like, yo, this is solid. Even last night, I think last night was the first or second time, first time I hear it in a sound system. And I was like, whoa. It's
different when you hear it on those, if it can't feel the bass in my heart, it not, that's the level you have to hear it.
No, because it's like, if you go into the club and you listen to a Biggie record, and then you listen to something new age, the sound is totally different. That Biggie record is round and big in beats. You understand what I'm saying? I think we have to have more of the process implemented back in the music industry. Hire our mixers. For young guys out there doing it, learn to mix, but work with some real mixers, people whose job is to mix. Mastering. Chris Scott mastered this. Chris Man mastered some of the best albums in our genre and outside of our genre. Chris Man actually mastered 50 Cent records for me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's how good he is. The process. Everybody want to master themselves, or they have some website where you can upload your song and master it. No, go through the process so we can keep the sound, we can keep the culture going, we can keep everything consistent and big and compete. There's no competition now. It's like, I remember when we did Jamari's first single, Neighborhood Girl, and we put that out. And one of the complaints I was getting, yo, this is too big. It don't match up to anything that we're playing. And you know what ended up happening? That record took off in Hawaii. That record took off in Europe. You understand? people were complaining that the sound was too big. Like even with this project, people are saying, yo, it's refreshing to hear something that's sonically in tune. The songs are well put together. All the artists did a great job of writing their songs. You know, one of my favorite songs on it is Tifa, of course, but Abby Dallas. You look out for Abby. Abby's a beast. Abby. She's doing a project right now with a good friend of mine, Riff Raff, Nobelius Records. Okay. Yeah, that EP is supposed to drop soon for her. I'm plugging your Riff Raff, so you owe me some money. I'll come collect. Abby Dallas is one of my favorites.
So even your last album, Cargotan Champion, we never talked about that, you know. I love that album there. As soon as you asked, the title was really good because I was just like, yeah, I need this. Cargotan Champion. Serve it. Please and thanks. But even that was well produced. Like, it's hard. I think Spice's album, your album, Cranium's album, yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
I said it the other day publicly. I said one of the best dance
albums,
whatever we want to call it.
It's a good fusion of his sound from here and dancehall, particularly. You could tell, and I don't know if it's just because I'm an old school head that I appreciate a holistic project and sound, and like when you listen to music in your earphone versus when you play it in your car versus when you play it in your house, I have to listen to it that many times to get that good feeling, and then when you hear it in a dance, it's that next feeling you have. So for me as a fan to just hear those songs, and quite often it's just like, why aren't they playing this? What, they have so much music. Like, I hate when DJs play the same thing over and over, and you have at least 3 to 4 songs in 3 to 4 different markets from that one album that could ring off if it were played a little bit more.
We as a people, and I said this Monday nights, and I've been saying it to you, we need to get back to the core. The quality has fallen because it's not about good songs anymore. It's about what is getting paid to be played. You know what I mean? And the alliances that are formed and the this and the that and the social media likes, it's not about that anymore. So you find that the quality has decreased, and you find that the good artists that are putting out good music because you're not a part of an alliance or because certain money now run, it just don't make sense. But then the flip side to that is, and I keep saying it, is that a lot of these records that cross over, they cross over from here.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for the last 2 years, and them cost me, but I don't really care because I'm a Sagittarius. So I get over it in a day.
But I mean, that's true. The reality of it, being in this market and living here, consuming here, being in media here, the reality of it is they don't they want the sound. They really don't care where it comes from. So whether the idea of having the most authentic sound coming from Jamaica, that is almost like a icing on the cake. So you see what Stylo G is doing, what Stonebwoy is doing. That was the industry 15, 20 years ago. That's not the case now. That's an anomaly.
It's an anomaly, but here what we don't have again, platforms.
Exactly.
Remember back in the day, all right, back in the day for you, not probably, I don't know the age, but back in the day for certain people was Passa Passa, Dirty Friday, Cool 2 Days. Selectors from here, selectors from Europe. Everybody used to wait for them video to come out the next week. Cassette and DVD and them thing there. Then wait for the during the whole Vegas run while we had the dancing songs, and we said, okay, every record we had with dance to them run out, Swats was our selectors.
You had to learn that as soon as it came out.
Yeah.
Passa Passa had how many, about 70, 80 CDs?
Why?
Like,
years.
Maybe that's when I stopped
Then
watching.
New York.
Yeah.
We can go way back in the day now. And I'm going to touch something after this. What I said is, New York, Shaggy, Red Fox, Screechy Dan, Badger Dread, Nike Fungus, Mr. Easy. Gibraltar Sound, Paula Rossi is my family. And I grew up, I'm talking about from elementary school, Neville and Axdale for Royal International used to pick me up from elementary school and go around East 17th Street and watch them on the sound. You see, when that whole movement started, I was just a little kid, I'm talking about 8, 9 years old, watching them, and that kind of mystified me to do music. We had Bentleys, we had the Ark, we had Biltmore, Tilden, Starlight. We had, that's Brooklyn alone. Then Q Club, Crystals. You had, you had venues where New York artists at that time, a lot of artists weren't coming from Jamaica. It was that New York crew dominating the place, running the place, and we had platforms. Now we're getting back to have platforms, so that's why I am pushing Paul as the next generation of you go out and produce these young artists. I'm going to support you. I'm going to guide you. Paul Platinum, have it now. You take the baton. You have Talis. You have a girl me hear me like Gold Digger. You have a Kim Phoenix. You have some New York artists that are really good. You have a little Bronx movement going right now. I'm a Queens youth, but a Bronx movement going. And you have a few artists in Queens. The platforms are here again. It's just to show them how to maneuver those platforms. Because we're starting to get the platform. And unity is important. Because back in those times, Bobby Con does. When Bobby get a record, when he play for Pat McKay, when Lapo get a record, I talk some name where people don't hear in years, I don't know, like Lapo. When Sting International get a record, the man them share the record. When them get a record from Jamaica, or when Stinger produce something out of the Signet label or the Tanya label with Philip Smart, everybody get the record and all selectors unite and say, this is what the mission is, to break our artists. Until they spun out and people in Jamaica was like, who name Baja Dread, who name Shaggy, who name... Until they eventually grew. So we kind of in that space where we have the craniums. We have the artists that break out of New York. You know what I'm saying? But we need more unity with the selectors and producers. I in New York right now, I don't really see any. You have the youth named scientists, like where am I go right now? LMR, my friend Ricky Blaze. Producers used to stick together. Like me and LMR are good friends. Producers stick together. Everybody tag team and work on projects together. That's the way it used to be. Now everybody want to. The small publishing check to themselves. You understand? Because, to be honest, music came from dollars and went to nickels and dimes, so right now it's fractions of pennies. As far as earnings. So I think unity is very important with this, and I think being consistent and learning, you know what I'm saying? Everybody learning. YouTube is excellent place to learn. Learn the history of the music. Learn with the sonics. Work with mix engineer. Work with, work with good mastering engineer.
Bring the quality. Come back from making fractions of pennies on music?
I came from vinyl era. I'm dating myself now. From vinyl, when I started as a kid, from vinyl vinyl and cassette to CD, and the music industry was shook. Then I saw the MP3 era take over, and the music industry was shook, and a lot of record companies shut down. Now we in the streaming era. You just got to know how to adjust, because right now it's not about selling records. I could care less about selling a record. It's about monetizing the record. It's about doing revenue partnerships. You know what I'm saying? It's about doing things to bring revenue with. Basically, I could give the record away for free, but attach it to this Pellegrino water and have them do a revenue partnership with me. So every Pellegrino water that sells, you get this song for free. That's an example of a revenue partnership. Jay-Z has been doing it with Samsung, with the phones and the albums, but people didn't catch on. So that's part of what I do too. I'm a consulting firm.
Are you taking some of this into your future projects?
Of course, definitely. I am a sponge.
So I want to see Tifa on TikTok. I need to...
I mean, definitely. As I said, there are a lot of things in the works, and if I was around people like him and not learn anything, I'd just be a ditz. You know what I mean?
You gotta be a sponge.
You have to be a sponge around people like this, you know what I mean? Because he just brought us, sorry for making us sound old, but he just gave us a history lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From vinyl upward, from dancehall upward to now. You know what I mean? So and it's a big melting pot, because some of those things can be applied to now, as well as you have to know the new principles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I was around him and not learn anything, don't worry, I'm being a sponge.
Good.
And the most important, with the Silent Project, I'm going to say something now, and it's important. I've been advocating this for a while. I'm starting another consulting firm, aside from the corporate side that we do with corporate clients like Netflix, my main client. advocating for artist rights. Every artist on this project, we did a joint venture agreement. They own half their master. If I license a song, they're entitled to half that money. A lot of these guys are recording, producers, artists, record companies, and nobody's seen mechanicals. And nobody's seen anything, any later on residuals. They think publishing is all. Publishing is not all. So on a consulting tip, I'm going to be picking up a few artist clients to represent them, not even charging. When I sign you on half your master, let me go out there and get this work for you.
Because the money that you'll make back on deals like that, but also it's an investment on the artist side as well, because if you're more invested as an artist to a particular song, if you know that you're going to make a bigger fraction of that back.
Exactly. And here what it is. It's quote, I could say quote, even though it's right, we're quoting. Everybody in this, I have a record company. Everybody's a producer, but you don't understand the business. And you go record, producer A record you, distribute the song, whatever aggregator they use, they get a check. Who's doing the math? Who's doing the business? Who's doing the accounting? Where the mechanicals going?
Not only that, like I see producers releasing songs on YouTube, and it's just like, but the artist doesn't get a fraction of whatever advertising revenue that you get from your YouTube account. So it's like,
we decided. I've always done this. Like when I do release records, joint venture with the artists, so the artists feel they own the record. Like we're partners. You understand? We're partners with this. So whatever we do and whatever you do, we're partners. So we're sharing the revenue. And we have to open up our minds now. We're going into it. This is a real dangerous time we're going into with the creative economy. And we need to protect our interests and our rights. And you artists, whether you're a painter, whether you are, protect your rights. Intellectual property. Protect your rights. Don't be like these artists that you see that's 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever years old. I'm broke. The other day, I say, Junior Biles? I see a video circulate with him destitute at Jamaica. Junior Biles had some of the biggest records in those times. What happened? Saying bad deals or no deals. You understand? We have to protect the culture. We have to protect our people. You understand? And I think education is the most important thing. Like being educated, getting a little knowledge here. Because, listen, when I was started making hip-hop and making music, people used to say, oh, that's trash, the older people. Then you have a new generation now making music, and you have some old heads, quote-unquote, like myself. I don't call it trash. They're like, oh, that's trash. No, you tell the youth them and you show them, say, yo, what you're doing is dope. You know what? Try this with it. Try that with it. See if it works. If it don't, it don't. Get them a little education. I was educated, and that was great to have mentors like Kedar Massenberg, the powerhouse in the music industry, and Daddy-O. Being in the Motown offices in the day and the Universal offices in the day, and then going to the studio, doing the Junior Mafia records at night. You know what I'm saying? I was blessed to have that. A lot of kids don't have that. It's accessible right now. You get it from a phone. You can make a track from a phone. The YouTube beats. Like, I see these YouTube guys, like, putting up music on YouTube. Hey, it's a great way to get your brand out there and get your name out there. But learn how to protect your rights, because I think there was the Little Nas X record. He got the beat on YouTube, and I think he paid $20 for it and made millions. What happened to, I don't know what the business side of it looked like, but what happened to the guy who made the beat? You understand? Maybe or maybe not. We don't know, But you have a lot of that going on right now, where these guys are selling beats for $10, $15, $20, YouTube, and artists taking it and making millions of dollars with it. And, so it's about protecting your rights and knowing, how to maneuver in this business. Because we're getting in a very dangerous time. Because when everybody start doing something, that's why lately I get bored of music. I'm doing the consulting, and I love music, but I get bored to the point I said, it's like, nah, I'm good. I start passing up opportunities. I'm like, nah, I'm good, because it's just so much. Unless it's a good opportunity. You have to be, we're in a dangerous time in the music industry.
It's a lot of music being released, but not a lot of artists being highlighted. I can hear one song on the radio, and I'm like, it sounds like the same person over it. And I don't know who the artist is. I don't know who the producer is. I was just telling you, I was just like, I don't know any producers because I can't read any credits. I don't know anything.
We put that out there.
Yeah, you have to show it.
I'm so and so, and I've done this and that. Because nobody reads it.
Exactly.
We made sure we put credits on everything. Even on the YouTube video, you see the credits underneath. Give everybody their credit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because there's no album cover. There's
Nothing.
You can't see that. Even in iTunes, I'm like, well, who produced this? Who did this? I don't know any of the new producers because outside of the ones who are screaming their signature over a record.
We had a conversation the other day. Somebody said, why you don't tag your records? I have never tagged my records, but I have a sound. So when somebody hear that kick drum or they hear the way the record is put together, who knows my sound? Like, oh, they made that record. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. We don't have to.
But that wasn't a thing back in the day. Like
no,
you knew the yes.
Timberland had a sound. All right, Trap Masters had a sound.
Yeah.
Smitty Mafia had a sound.
Yep.
Everybody had a sound.
Cool and Dre.
Yep. Everybody.
Even like Tony Kelly.
Tony Kelly. So Dave Kelly. When Dave Kelly, we hear Dave Kelly record.
Dave Kelly, yes.
Yeah. So actually, Tony was the one that reminded me the other day. You know, sometimes you get a little discouraged with certain things, and Tony pushed me like with this project.
Yeah.
I think Tony was the first producer that put it up on Instagram, the album cover. He see me and take it and repost it, and him say, "Yo, the thing sound good." Him say, "Oh, you hear it?" Him say, "Yeah." Such and such send it to him. He say, "All right." And Tony said, "Come on, Tony, remind me." Tony said, "Really, you have to remember when you hear songs playing in backyard parties that were made 10, 15, 20 years ago." You made it in this business. Yeah. I'm saying, Tony, what do you mean by that? He said, Raging will play every backyard party you ever go to. He said, take away yourself, play every. I'm saying, well, true. He said, you reach a certain caliber. Records now, there's no records to stand the test of time. People that's making songs, they're making records, they're not making great songs.
Like them last 6 months or 3 months, and then you forget about them, like, oh, it's a hype thing right now. Yeah. But then you hear a Biggie, or you hear a Beanie, or you hear a Vegas, I Am Blessed, and you still stand at the dance. You know what I mean? It just, they stand the test of time. So I think that's why I'm stuck in the 90s, early 2000s, up to 2006. Yeah. I think that's why I'm stuck in that whole era, because it just makes sense to me. Even when them have like throwback days, it just sounds brand new. Yeah.
But to your credit is, you can that era will always be golden, and you can mix in a new song that's of a newer era that has the same sound, and people will love it.
Same sound.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. This is going to be a bonus episode because we talked about way too much to include in one. But thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Style and Vibes podcast. If you like what you hear, and I know you do, share it with your friends and family. If you want more, make sure you visit styleandvibes.com and follow us on our social channels, Twitter and Instagram @Style and Vibes. Until next time, Leah Tommy Peeps.